Congratulations on Combat Wombat. We had the opportunity to sit down and watch it over the weekend. Congratulations on such a fantastic Aussie film.
Yeah, it's a ripper, isn't it? I think the people, the production company that have put it together have, really put their heart and soul into it, and they've created a quality product. I think it's excellent.
Yeah, this franchise that they're developing with these characters, of course we saw some in the Sanctuary Tales from last year. It's really, really working. Do you think that this is a good thing for Australian cinema with a franchise that's aimed solely at families?
Hey, I mean, it's got to be, doesn't it? I'm a simpleton, really. I come from the kind of perspective that anything that's, like, it's so hard to get something made.
Yeah.
And any group of people that can actually kind of galvanise their efforts and the persistence required, to produce something, that's a miracle in itself. Like, when we sit down and, watch a film, we tend to be very, not critical, but very, we just assume that it just all unfolds before us like a little miracle, that is so spontaneous. That's the beauty of the illusion. But there's so much work that goes on behind the scenes. So it's incredible that this production company have pulled this off, where they're going to be competing, in an international market with content that is of international quality, and they're creating this world and they're making it work, and the characters are it's all so well written and it all looks so beautiful. It's a massive achievement, really.
Yeah, definitely. And it's great for once that Aussie kids get a movie that's aimed for them with characters that they recognise without it being Americanized. I always found when I was a kid that everything was Americanized, whereas kids these days get these amazing animations that are about animals that they know. For us, it was really only Blinky Bill. Is that something that you like too about the Aussie nature of this as well for Aussie kids?
Yeah, of course. Like the fact that in this particular one, the hero is a wombat, Combat Wombat, voiced by Deb, who's absolutely awesome, and then a sugar glider as the sidekick. I think it's fantastic. I'm not saying this to promote my own work, but I've written a couple of mystery novels for kids called the Kismet series. They're published by Penguin, and I had like a sidekick character who was a currawong.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed bringing that, like an Australian animal, into a narrative like that, and giving it that kind of rarefied, heightened status.
Yep.
I really enjoyed doing that, and as you say, in a similar way with these films, they're elevating our own experience to high art, and I don't know if you call it high art, but to a kind of an epic artistic expression, and I think that's just a really fantastic thing for Australian kids to witness and feel that their world is as worthy of that kind of treatment as any.
Definitely. Yeah. So I have to ask, Frank, how did you become involved with the project, and what was your first thoughts when you actually read the script?
Well, I'm just sort of assuming that the producers approached me just because they were aware of my previous work, so I'm not really sure how that initial offer came about. You'd have to talk to them, but they just approached me, and then I read the script, and I was a little bit nervous initially because the character is a bit of I'm sort of playing against type in a sense that the character that I play, Flightless Feather, is... Like, I really enjoyed the script, and I was keen to be part of it from that perspective, but just in terms of my own, whether or not I could pull off the role, I was a little bit, I'm not overly confident, I'm not cocky, let me put it that way, because the character was playing a bit against type in that it's this cassowary who, when you first meet him, he is the superhero of the town, he's got to be that kind of cocky alpha male.
Yep.
And then throughout the story, as if you've seen it, as you know, like his vulnerability kind of becomes more apparent, and he becomes more flawed. But in terms of playing that, alpha male initially, I was like, okay, well, this will be really interesting for me because I've got to kind of try to pull that out of the bag. And so that was a really, what would I say, like a enticing challenge for me. So that was part of the appeal of it, for sure. And I'm obviously not the one to say whether or not I pulled it off, but it certainly feels like it all came together and everybody seems to be pleased with the result. So, yeah, I guess that's how it all happened.
You certainly did pull it off. And how do you prepare yourself to play a cassowary? That in itself must be a challenge.
Well, I did live with cassowaries up in, rainforest in the north for 6 months, and I immersed myself in the cassowary community, and because I'm very method about these things. Look, I just think, like, in a sense, the character is, whilst when you watch the film, clearly the cassowary aspect of the character is very vivid and it's very important, from a design perspective. But really, the character, in a sense, could have been any kind of animal. It was really more the fact that they were this petulant, arrogant character who was more interested in being, a celebrity and selling their success, commodifying their heroism. That was kind of interesting. And then as it becomes apparent that he's actually under the sway of the manager, who's really the more duplicitous, member of that team. And then just as the character goes through their own, what would you say, like the unfolding of their own story, that was really the challenge, for me, working out how to play each of those moments. And it's interesting when you're a supporting character, because clearly the main, possibly I'm not, in a way, I'm just trying to think that obviously Deb's character, Maggie, is the wombat is the main character, but then the sugar glider does experience a really important transformation, and in a way it's like it's almost like a buddy movie, isn't it, where they're both the main characters and their particular personal challenges are kind of equal in importance. And it's very, I really enjoy that role of being a support character, and you've got to try to, you're always thinking about, whenever you're playing a scene, how does this support the emotional connection for the audience in the main story? And what's your role in a sense? And I really enjoy doing that. Like I had a part in the other Aussie film Oddball, and that was also playing against type, where I was like the evil dog catcher. But that was, and I wasn't in that many scenes, but I could really feel, I really enjoyed sort of the responsibility of being, I was the main malevolence in the film. So, and I didn't get to do anything. You never got to see me do anything cruel. So I had to. I was always thinking about the audience at the end of it. They needed to feel like I had the potential for violence. And it's a kids' film, so you could maybe play it more subtly if it was. If it was an adult film, they'd be able to pick up more subtle cues. But because it was a kids' film, I had to kind of think, okay, what level of kind of scariness, I suppose, do I need to inject into each scene I do? Because they don't get to see me do anything scary, so I've got to kind of turn up the volume on that. And I'm only talking about that because, in a similar way with this film, I really enjoy that process where you think, okay, in some ways you're thinking about the scene itself and just trying to make that work, but you're also thinking, what do I need to do here so that the audience in every scene, not just in the scenes I'm in, but in every scene they are leaning further forward in their chair, needing to know what's going to happen, what's my responsibility here in terms of turning that screw. And I love that. I really enjoy it. So.
And the other challenge there as well is you're only using your voice, because we know as a performer we normally see you on stage or we see you on screen. How difficult was it portraying all of that about Flightless just using your voice?
Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge for me, and I thought a lot about it. And it was the other thing that was really good was the director Ricard. He set a very open-minded and kind of playful mood in the recording studio. So as a result, I could kind of experiment a lot in the process. I could throw in lots of different approaches to the various moments, as well as there was a bit of improvisation. I think maybe a little bit of that ended up in the final film, but just kind of creating that playful mood as well, and then also just trying a bunch of stuff. Giving them a fair bit of grist for the mill when they come to. I think what they do is they do a vocal. I think they do like a thing called an animatic, which is like a very rough animation of the imagery. It's not in the final 3D animated. It's with 2D drawing sketches really, and then they edit all of the vocals together. So they choose all the takes and they get all the timing right, and then they start doing the animating. So in terms of that part of the process, just giving them lots of options, I guess.
Yeah, I know with the original Sanctuary City film, some of the cast actually got to record their lines together, but Ross Noble said that he didn't. During COVID, did that mean that you guys didn't all get into the studio together to record your lines?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I don't know if I think it might have been just before the COVID situation.
Yeah.
I remember I was in Brisbane, and I did a bit of recording when I was in Brisbane, and I was doing a live show in Brisbane, and it was like that was the final weekend that you could do live shows before it all got shut down. So I think I did my recording for it before COVID, but even so, because of the various movements of the different performers on this occasion, we couldn't get together, and so that's why when I saw the film, it was really satisfying for me to then see it all patched together and see me doing the scene with Judith. Judith is so good. She's so good. Like her vocal skills, I think, really shine in that context. I thought she was absolutely brilliant. But so it was really satisfying for me to kind of finally see the scenes where I was with the other actors, because we hadn't done it like that in the recording.
Awesome. Well, Frank, I know we are running out of time, and it has been an absolute honour chatting to you today. Before you go, is there anything that you would love to say to our listeners out there before they go and check out Combat Wombat in cinemas?
Only that it's worth, if you think it might be the kind of film that you or your kids would get into, I think it's really worth seeking it out. I think it's on kind of online platforms, like Apple TV and that sort of thing. That I think it's really worth finding it, because I think it's a really quality product. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, Frank, again, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an honour, and hopefully we get to chat to you again in the future with Combat Wombat 2.
Sounds good. Thanks for your time. Cheers.
Not a problem,
All
mate.
right.
You have a great day. Thanks.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.